pledge.
There's no ink in here.
Sal, can you lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, our veterans, those fighting the good fight in the Ukraine, and those suffering from military conflict in the Middle East. Also a memorial to Colin McCormick, who is our former police chief here in New Milford, and to Carl Dunham, a resident involved in the community heavily in New Milford as well. May their memories be eternal. Thank you, everyone. If you read the American Creed. Katie?
American's Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrifice their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all its enemies.
Thank you. Sal, do we have anybody for public participation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Concha.
Good evening, Tom Kepsiak, 94 Long Mountain Road, New Milford. I want to bring to the council's attention the updated filing that has been made by the firm representing the plaintiffs in the current lawsuit against Kimberly Clark related to the PFAS emissions from its facilities in New Milford. The updated filing includes details from the Kimberly Clark landfill on Route 7 near Boardman Road that is draining into the Housatonic River, which in turn feeds the aquifer that supplies water to the town's residents. The filing includes photographs of the discharge, the analysis of the effluent, which contains PFAS and PFOS contaminations at worrisome levels, the analysis of the documents that link the Kimberly Clark landfill as being the source of the discharge. The town has the responsibility under both state and local regulations to intervene to ensure that the effluent from the landfill is captured and treated to remove contaminants before being discharged into the river. Failure by the town to intervene will leave the town liable. I strongly urge that the appropriate town agencies take prompt action to address this pollution to ensure that the effluent from the landfill no longer presents a hazard to the town residents. For the reference of all of you, I have mailed all of the council members, the mayor, and the town attorney a copy of the updated filing. The information related to the discharge from the Kimberly Clark landfill starts on page 13 of the updated filing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Sal?
I'm almost there. So Ryan.
It's okay. Hillary Rab, 154 Guernsey Lane. All the water there is all the water there is. That's a well-known saying, and I teach it to my kids in the water cycle when I teach them that every year. As the elected officials, leadership of this town, you have the responsibility to protect our water. May I remember, I'm standing right here with you, I was very grateful to be acknowledged for the writing about New Milford's watersheds to help earn us a silver from Sustainable CT. I'm now asking that we put what we learned to use. Doing research for that, I learned Connecticut's Doctrine of Natural Resources and the Public Trust of 1896 established that the public has expectations and rights to the life-sustaining benefits provided by natural resources. In 1971, the CT General Assembly made it explicit that there is a public trust in the air, water, and other natural resources of the state. The water we have is already compromised, and there's not enough of it. I'm here tonight because I want people to know that the location the mayor is proposing to move the Department of Public Works is directly above our aquifer. Our aquifer is the town's only source of potable water. The plan is to build an industrial site for DPW, our engineering, highway, vehicle maintenance, building maintenance departments. Also, full recycling operations, a fire tower for training, and a helicopter landing pad. The storage area is to be constructed. Since purchasing the Century Brass land some 25 years ago, the town has spent over $10 million of taxpayer money to clean it up. However, we still don't know if we are done with the cleanup. Recently, the town hired a company, TCR, to do an environmental study and a closure plan, in other words, to finish the prepare the plan to finish cleaning up. But we have not yet received that, so we shouldn't be moving forward. However, the mayor's pushing this through our town committees, putting the cart before the horse and expending our money and resources. This proposal is currently before the Inland Wetlands Committee, and their last meeting for public comment will be on August 8th. Let's say we do get the closure plan from TCR and we complete our remedial plan. Well, there are 7 departments within the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, known as DEEP, that each have requirements the town must meet. I will submit for the record the complete list, all of which Mayor Bass was made aware of by an email from DEEP dated June 4th, 2024, and none of which have been satisfied. Most recently, the town hired WMC Consulting Engineers to do a plan for this proposal. How much did that cost? How much have we spent in total thus far? The public has not been given an estimate for the cost to build the entire complex. I've heard between 30 and 50 million based on the plan. Before the town purchased it in 1999, the property generated around $300,000 annually in tax dollars. At that time of purchase, taxpayers were promised it would be turned into a revenue-generating property. It's been sitting there not generating a dime since. After inland wetlands, this project moves, if approved, to the New Milford Aquifer Protection for approval. The regulated activities proposed for the site are prohibited according to DEEP's Aquifer Protection Area Program. And that is because they pose a great danger to any aquifer. I implore you to familiarize yourself with these issues because your children may wonder why you voted for this. How were we given a silver by Sustainable CT and now be allowed to ignore these grave risks to our aquifer, to our water? When we know better, we do better. We can find another location for DPW to move. The regulated list of activities will be given to you, but it's here they are in a list. Above ground storage tanks and fuel dispensing, vehicle repair and maintenance, truck washing, storage and disposal of hazardous wastes, storage of waste oil, antifreeze, spent lead acid batteries, storage of de-icing chemicals, materials, uncovered salt shed, bearing a slab of concrete with known PCB contaminations. This is just a start. So thank you very much. Again, all the water there is all the water there is.
Thank you.
Hillary, is that something you want to bring to the record?
Yes, please.
Mike Snello, 111 Willow Springs. Since we already spoke at probably great length at the public meeting, I'll try to be as brief as I can just to touch up on the main points that I hope are remembered about what I've been trying to intimate tonight. Number one, again, the fellow who came in at the end of the public meeting said almost exactly what I said at the beginning. Why are we here? And when it comes to the short-term rentals, I think it's item 9A or something. And he brought up many of the points that I was bringing up, and that I hope that those members of the council who were thinking what we've been thinking have the courage tonight to say it outright, which is that it seems to me to be a problem in search a solution in search of a problem, and that fishing expeditions aren't what this body or any proper system of governance should be endeavoring into. So the questions that have been raised are questions that have been raised. This isn't me saying outright, this is something I oppose wholesale. But I do want to have a reason to institute this, whatever regulation might be instituted, first. I want to handle the axiomatic problems before we handle the pragmatic problems. And then I want to hear the actual pragmatic problems. This is why when I first got to the podium, I said, before I even got to the podium, I said, does anyone want to go before me? Because we hadn't heard any complaints. And then we heard a few tonight, which was great, because now we have at least some data points, even if they are purely anecdotal. The question I raised at the end is something I really hope people understand. What would be the difference if they were long-term rentals? The parking problems that were brought up were problems that I ran into with my former neighbors, who we couldn't do anything about because they were a problem within a long-term rental contract. And if they're a short-term renter, again, they're gone in a few days. And that's how the problem resolves itself. And again, if the complaint is that the short-term rentals are causing this problem, but is it an outsized percentage? Is it numbers that go beyond what we would expect from a long-term rental situation anyways? When I first came to this podium a few months ago, when I first spoke about this issue, what is a short-term rental then, as distinct from a long-term rental? Why have we come up with that number of days or weeks or months or whatever it winds up being? If it's because somebody else already did, well, that begs the question. Why did they come up with it? If New Canaan has a policy, if Bridgewater has a policy, if New Fairfield has a policy, why do they have those policies? We shouldn't just do it just because they do it too. And again, I really hope that we get some data before we even endeavor into a potential exploratory committee. It seems, like I said, like we're here because we have a solution in search of a problem. And very briefly on that solution, what would we even do that would be of any significance in resolving whatever problems there might be? Right now, the police can already go into these short-term rentals on the grounds that the attorney has laid out. I believe it's disturbance of the peace. And with a new potential ordinance, they would be able to go in by way of disturbance of the peace. I understand that there might be more proverbial ethereal authority to do so if there's something on the books. But what would we do? Are we going to ban them outright? To me, that seems completely preposterous, especially from the standpoint of their private properties. And in some cases, the only way that the residents can afford to stay here after they retire is to take one of their rooms and rent them out. And again, what would be the difference between somebody renting them out, somebody long-term, and somebody short-term? So I hope that the questions that I've raised are treated as questions that I've raised and not as absolutisms and commands that I'm making when it comes to the specifics. And I do hope that we deal with the axiomatic, the reason to institute any sort of regulation on the thing itself first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
I don't have anybody more than that.
Okay. All right.
That's it? Okay.
Next is the consent agenda. Katie?
Okay, item 4A and 4B, I'd like to move that we approve the prior minutes and the tax collector's report.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 5, I'd like to move that we accept, that the Parks and approve the Parks and Recreation accepting the following donations for the 8 Mile and 5K road race. That's $750 from Union Savings Bank. And they're requesting that the monetary donations be deposited in the recreation account number 10450044709. And the Parks and Rec Commission would like to thank the Union Savings Bank for their generosity.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 6, I'd like to move that we allow the request from the Apple Festival people to close Church Street from the intersection with Main to the northwest corner of the Town Hall parking lot, which would be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and the southern crossover from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on September 28th of 2024, which was for the 4th annual Apple Festival on the Green.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 6B, I'd like to move that this is for the annual Halloween on the Green. These are from the mayor's office. To move that we allow them to close Church Street from the intersection of Main to the northwest corner of the Town Hall parking lot on October the 26th, 2024, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and the southern crossover from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on October 26th for the annual Halloween on the Green.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Great. Mayor's comments.
Thank you, Katie. First, before I get into mayor's comments, there was some talk, and Randy, I'd like to get your opinion as our town attorney. There was some information on a private lawsuit that was sent to all of the town councilmen, and then also conjecture of the town's status and standing. You and I had talked about this before. Can you please again talk to the town council and those that are in attendance tonight and watching on video?
The town does not own a water company. It does not have standing to file a lawsuit for remediation of water. What the town can do is ask the DEP and encourage that, things of that nature. But it does not have standing to go to sue anybody for damages. It doesn't have any standing. That's the law. You can intervene environmentally in anything you want, but if the fact is you don't have standing to maintain a private lawsuit against that company.
And if I was a person that was interested in the Kimberly Clark litigation, I was concerned of the water, the best use would be to contact whom?
Well, first of all, your legislators. That's your first attack, if you will. But the fact is unless you can prove a loss, an identifiable, real loss, you have no standing. A lawsuit like this, you need a duty, which there is a legal duty, of course, that approximately causes damage to you. If you have a water company, they've caused and they've allegedly caused damage, you can sue them, and you have standing to sue them. You can try to intervene as an environmental SEPA intervener, but you're not going to get the standing of a private lawsuit. Not going to happen. I've been doing this a long time.
And as advice of our town attorney,
You're going to spend $100,000 on this for nothing? Frankly.
thank you, Randy. I'd like to also talk a little bit about which I will during economic development, concerning our riverfront revitalization and public works. And hopefully the public agrees the move from the current location of DPW to the Century Brass location. That being said, I'd like to thank the Irish Litchfield Irish American Club for their wonderful donation after their Irish Road Bowling. And I know, Chris, you're the president of that. Your group raised over $25,000 for the Quigg family. Not to put you on the spot, but could you talk a little bit about that wonderful donation? And I know the Quiggs obviously know about it because they received the funds. But
Right. So our club was formed to host events that kind of highlight Irish heritage and culture, at the same time raise money that we then give away to what we call local worthy causes. We try to find individuals rather than other charities. And so the beneficiaries of our road bowling tournament this year were Tom and Mia Quigg, and a lot of people in town know them. They have a son, Sean, who has disease, formal muscular dystrophy, I think, and his care is expensive and hard, and you know, they have to take time away from their jobs or quit their jobs to help take care of Sean, and leaving little for themselves. And for people that know both Tom and Mia, you know, anytime anyone around town needs help, they're among the first to raise their hands. And so it was great that the town came out and supported our event this year because of who the beneficiaries are. And we were thrilled to raise over $25,000 and to write them a check for that. So, and now our club, I just realized, in 3 events, we did road bowling last year, this year, we did the golf tournament. They gave away $10,000 in scholarships for high school kids. In the 18 months that we've been in existence, we've given away over $50,000 around town. So our volunteers and our club members they're incredible people.
Thank you to
And
you
you're
and
providing
the club,
fun
Chris.
for everybody involved.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you to you and the club, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, more good news. The Whitmans, who host our Artisan Festival, this is the second year we brought that to the downtown. Also on Saturday, 90 vendors, kind of like the old Village Fair days. You had the crafters, you had those that, you know, make their own items for sale. And the Whitmans gave a nice donation to Camella's Cupboard and also to the New Milford Fuel Bank. So again, just great that we have these entities such as yours, Chris, the Whitman's doing those. And we have many more that we talk about each and every time we accept donations. Just doing marvelous work that helps the town and helps those residents here. That's why this place is so special. Also, I stopped by on Sunday to see David Schwartz, who has Ready, Set, Go Adventures. And what they do is they do what's called gravel grinders. So what those are, that's like a bike, like a cycling event. They do them all over the Northeast, and Milford happens to be one. And it's the Macedonia Gravel Grinder, part of the Gravel Grinder Adventure Series. There are over 200 cyclists who are in New Milford on Sunday. And it was great to see that. And some of these people come from as far away as New Jersey, Massachusetts, and they come here. He told me about 20% of the people are new. They come and appreciate our town. Helps out, obviously, our economy here as well, because not only are they here to bike ride, they're here to enjoy things and can come back and also visit our restaurants, our gas stations, and whatnot. We're also looking to partner with some additional promotional things that we'll be doing, and once those are set, I'll bring that up to the council. Also on Sunday, I saw Bob Hanna with 3 veterans who runs our recycling center, and we came before the council and talked a little bit about bottle redemptions, can redemptions, and they would provide that service. So I went down there as he let me know as of Friday, and then obviously had the Saturday and Sunday redemptions. There are over 102,000 bottle and can redemptions already. So, and obviously we know those bottles and cans better in a redemption and a recycling center, being repurposed than on a roadside and, you know, causing all sorts of environmental damage on the road. So thank you to Bob and his team for doing that as well. Some quick updates on our infrastructure projects that we have going on right now. The Mariel Bridge. The contractor was completing today the backfilling and rough grading behind the northern abutment walls. And then they're going to begin their work on the southern abutments right after that. Our contractor began drainage work on Waller Road, which is, for those who don't know, it's up in Gailersville, a smaller road that has needed a serious drainage work, and that's going to be completed, and then they're going to do the paving there as well. Our New Milford roof project continues to move forward. The contractor is on site, as well as the clerk of the works, and they're going panel by panel, and they're opening up the panel, seeing if there's the right clips and screws, and if they're not, they're putting them in and recording it. And I was speaking to Jack, and he was speaking to Matt, the two of them, and they let me know that when this is completed, there'll probably be about 40,000 pictures that they will have taken for each screw and each panel opened and each clip.
There'll be evidence that
Absolutely.
it was done correctly.
Yep. The library, if you haven't seen as you drive by, we're replacing the old flagpole that was there and much needed repair. It served its life function, and now we're actually putting in a new flagpole, but it's actually going to be a little higher for better elevation, and that project moves forward. Should be done, I'm hoping, in the next couple of days, weather dependent on that as well.
Is that the original flagpole?
I don't know if it's the original. It's been there a long
I-
time. I know that.
What do you think?
That I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Uh,
Pole is a pole when you're a kid. I don't,
It's been there a long time, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And construction so far, we've completed the drainage on Mine Hill Road. Also, some of the work that we've done as well. Bridge-wise, that's in the works, Brookside Avenue, we're waiting for the ACOE permit. Van Car Road, the 100% design is completed, and we've put out an RFQ for the inspection services, which will be reviewed. Sand Road, 90% of the design is done. Wheaton Road, 30% of the design, and then they're going to do public input period is open as of right now. On the school safety improvements that we've talked about, where we'll be putting in the school zone lights, that was finally DOT approved, and now our Public Works is working on an updated quote for those systems. And as we remember, on Route 7, we're putting those at New Milford High School. We're also putting those at Faith Academy. We're also going to put those up on Hip Road for Scotticoke and for also Hill and Plain as well, and Scotticoke and Northville. And I'll provide more updates with that. The Public Works and Victoria, our grant writer, are working on the LOTSIP application. They're just awaiting the design and estimate from KSE on the traffic light at Mine Hill and Grove intersection. And then they'll be putting that in for the application. And with lots of funding, that's 100% funding, then we would be maintaining that light system if approved. We're also in process with lots of, which was approved, is the Wellsville Avenue, and that's one that's going to be a full reclamation, drainage, and then sidewalks on there as well. Sidewalk projects, we're continuing to move forward with the sidewalk project for those that haven't been down Route 7. You've seen those that are they're continuing to scrape the side to even out to begin the process. And there's been some conjecture on safety of the sidewalks. So I had asked Jack Healy to opine on those, and I'm going to have more engineering definitiveness of it. But he wanted me to let the public know, and also the council, these were approved design plans by the federal and state design and engineers per this grant. So this is all done with safety in mind, and all done with their blessing, because they're the ones that actually approved that. I asked him if he could give me more kind of data on that, and I'll have that for the next town council meeting. Even if that's sooner, I'll send it to the town council that you
Yes,
have.
that came up in
And
the
also to the
past
public.
and
Yeah.
was sent out.
Yeah. Also, let's see what else we have here as well. I attended the BOE workshop on gold setting, which was on July 16th, very informative. Superintendent Parlato with the Board of Ed are talking about what they're going to consider goals for this coming year, and how they're going to be moving forward with that as well. They also let us know during the Board of Ed meeting that followed after that. They're continuing to work as they have their union negotiations have begun for their unions. And I know, Katie, you had asked me before about our unions and where we are as far as in the process.
Right.
And I know Greg is here if you wanted to ask him any questions as far as where we are with the negotiations. If
I I would like
where
to,
we are in that process.
because our non-union salaries, compensation are all taken care of through the budget process, correct?
Correct. So our collective bargaining agreements, all of them are just about in midterm right now. So the next two ones that'll come before the council will be for June 30, 2026, that are police and dispatch. And then our Teamster and our nutmeg contracts will expire in 2027.
And Greg, for those that maybe are new to the council or in the public, Nutmeg replaced AFSCME.
Correct. So AFSCME members elected to leave that union about 18, maybe 24 months ago. They elected to leave AFSCME, sign on with Nutmeg, Eric Brown, their attorney, and from the feedback I'm getting, the employees are happy with that. So, but Katie, if I can bring up a point, and I
Yes,
don't know if
please.
this is out of line for the meeting, but I meet with the mayor, so when we go through each fiscal year, we have payroll action forms that will authorize the increases for the town employees. The mayor will sign it, I'll sign it, Greg Ossipow as the finance director signs it. And during a meeting I had with the mayor, I asked him, when was the last time that he got his increase? Because if you remember, we went about 20 years before the last time the mayor got an increase. I don't want to see us fall into that same path. So tonight, if the town council can approve, the monies are in the budget, right, Greg, for a mayor's increase? I would like the town council to approve, the mayor's increase as approved through the budget process. I would also like to just make a suggestion, if I could.
Could I ask a question, Greg?
Please.
So the mayor's compensation is increased the same as all non-union?
It would be
across the
all
board?
non-union and
No
union.
more than anyone else?
That's correct.
Okay.
So right now, all of our unions are at a 2.5% increase, and that's for all 4 of the unions. I would recommend that the town council approve for an increase for the mayor that is just right in line with that, no more or no less than what has been collectively bargained for all employees.
So it doesn't happen automatically because the budget was approved?
Doesn't happen automatically. The mayor's salary, as it stands right now, requires town council approval.
Okay.
So one of the things that I would like to make a recommendation for that I think could streamline the process, the mayor's salary should be a part of the budget process, right?
And it was.
It was.
Right, it was in the budget process, but what wasn't approved was it for it to actually be allocated. I think what we can do through that budget process, have it be allocated and approved, right, negotiated or deliberated by the town council, board of finance.
While we're discussing the budget.
While you're
in
discussing
general.
the budget, put out to the voters, then once it's approved, then when July comes, should everything be approved, the mayor's salary, like the union employees, would get that increase. It's just a streamlined process, so we don't fall into a same pattern to where a mayor doesn't get an increase for 20 years because they don't want to be self-interested when they're putting something on an agenda.
So that could be made part of our process. In other words, we have departments and they have line items, and so this would become a sub-line item.
In the mayor's budget,
I
correct.
see.
All non-union salaries are budgeted within the other wages categories under the fringe benefit.
Right. So his would go there too? I see. But we, or any council going forward would be the ones to talk about it, just like we do when we question any other department or whatever.
Exactly, and then it just, like I was just talking to Randy, it would just become an administrative act,
Right.
be very consistent with what the other towns do. So rather than, coming to the town council, have it, bounce around the council individually outside of the budget process, do it like all of the other salaries, do it through the budget process and streamline it that way.
And his non-union compensation would be the same as?
The same as all
non-union?
collectively bargained, it would be at 2.5% this year. And going forward, it would just be the average. Right now, we have all of our collective bargaining agreements settled at a 2.5, right? Makes it very easy for the mayor's salary to be increased by 2.5. But if there's ever a situation to where we've got one union lower than another, right, you would do an average of that. That would be the fairest.
Or
way
the
for mayor's
council would
salary.
decide then?
That the council would
Yes.
absolutely decide that through the budget process.
Good, for me.
So do we need to add an item to the agenda tonight?
We should.
To approve that?
Right.
And then there would be a second issue of changing the process.
Of
for
changing the
future.
process, correct. So I would do an
That
A
tonight
and
as
B
well.
for tonight, if I could recommend that.
Okay.
Right, all right. Do you want to do that now?
Motion to suspend the rules, to add 2 items to the agenda. I guess it would be, make it 7
Oh, you can make it 7A
or
and B?
7A and B.
Yep.
And one would be to vote on the increase for this fiscal
This
year
fiscal
for
year.
Mayor Bass,
Which has been budgeted.
which has been budgeted, approved in the budget. And
And
then B would move to make the increase in future years an administrative action as part of the budget process.
then, in the mayor's.
In the mayor's, in the
fiscal
mayor's
right,
budget line,
right.
correct.
Is there a second to this motion?
Thank you.
So there's a motion and the second. Thank you, Chris. Thank
Any
you.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, just Mary Jane, you're only opposed? Okay.
So now, that just added them to the agenda. Now we have
Yep.
to vote on them individually.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Greg, for bringing that and explaining it.
Absolutely, thank you. Any other questions?
I think it's very clear.
Okay,
Thank
very
you,
good.
Greg.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, are you,
So I move,
Oh, wait,
so we have to now vote on the issues themselves. Right, all we did was add them to the
Yep,
agenda.
just add them to the agenda.
So I move
you wanna
7A to approve.
Continue, you're doing a great job.
To approve the mayor's salary increase of 2.5% as approved in the budget.
In keeping with all the non-union increases, yes. Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Wait, Mary
Did
Jane?
everybody go to the?
No, Mary Jane didn't hear. We just were voting on, that was adding it to the agenda, and we just took those same words and voted on it, that the mayor would receive the compensation that was already in the budget.
I'm opposed.
Okay,
So everybody else was in favor?
okay.
Yep.
All right. The next one?
7B, Go
7B, to change the approval process to be in line as part of the budget process, the approval would be an administrative action.
under the mayor's department budget.
Yes.
It just seems like the whole.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, everyone.
The irony of this is that we already voted for all the money that was under that.
On the second one.
That the irony of it is that we voted for it as part of the budget.
Right.
He's in there.
Right.
It's just because of it being the office of the mayor, we need, as a council.
And it hadn't been done in 20 years, so.
Is that right,
Passed.
Attorney DeBello?
Just for the record, I don't vote. I'm not elected to do anything. But the reality is, the citizens voted on that budget. It's done, as far as I'm concerned. So now to have some disingenuous political discourse is a spitting in the face of the voters, because they already approved it.
And how would we change our function process, Attorney DeBella? How would we go about changing the process to make that as easy as it should be?
It's in the budget. Once the Board of Finance sends the mill rate, right? It's done.
Right.
You don't need to change the process, but of course, you just did it. So the fact is that you already changed the process. You made an administrative act, which it should have been. Right.
But there,
It's nonsense. It's nonsense. The citizens of New Milford, that's their budget. You can't touch it anymore. You can't touch it.
right, but in the non-union, in the budget, there are departmental things that we
So-
look at and agree.
So now it's done.
And the mayor
Right.
is the head of a department,
Right, that's right.
just like any other department head. The mayor is an actual employee of this town.
Yes, he is.
So the reality is that, I mean, it's fine. You want to debate that at the budget time, that's fine.
I
But the
don't-
reality is that that's what you do when you approve a budget. You approve the components of it.
Right, and we'd like,
That's why
I
you-
would have
that's
loved
why you
to
did
have
it.
it been that way.
So why did we do this tonight if that wasn't really the case?
Because the custom had been that it has to be,
Custom.
it has to come to the
Correct.
town council, and it has to be
Custom was
political
forgotten.
nonsense,
Just clarifying it.
by the way, And this is disingenuous politics,
Right.
frankly.
The custom
I don't know how you're
was,
doing.
because of the way we did the budget and everything, and the fact that he was included in that.
No, I'm just saying, it's great for people to know during budget time that that's one of the pieces, that's how it lays
Right.
out. So
Just like the chief of police,
discuss
just
it at
like
the same
everybody
time.
else.
That's
Yes,
fine.
It's the
exactly.
director
But
level.
he just passed it, so.
I got it.
So,
For whatever
Randy, just
Okay.
one point of
I gotta go take
clarification.
care of my mother.
What we did tonight was legal and...
Absolutely legal,
Okay.
But it's gilding the lily.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the citizens, the people who
Yes.
you work for, approve that budget
Correct.
Yeah.
with that
So,
component.
so next year, we'll
You
reverse
do
it.
what you want.
We'll ungild. Goodbye.
Okay.
Are you done, Mayor?
Next. Yeah, next,
Finance Director, update?
And Madam Vice Chair and Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I have family issues, you know. Thank you.
Glad you could make it.
Blood pressure goes on the way.
Randy, just leave it, it's okay.
Good evening. This is the financial update for June. In June, the town went to the capital markets to permanently finance $2.5 million of bands through long-term bonding. There were 6 bidders, with StoneX Financial being the winning bidder at 3.54%. Additionally, the town raised $6.16 million in new short-term notes with 5 participants bidding. Jeffries won the bid with a 3.51% interest rate. This is my final update to the council. It has been an honor to serve the people of the town of New Milford. I am leaving with the knowledge that the town's finances are second to none. During my tenure, the town experienced clean, timely audits. The fund balance is one of the strongest in the state. Each year was passed a balanced budget, which passed, I believe, on the first referendum. We have experienced a surplus in each of those years. I've strived to uphold a high standard of integrity for this office. I've kept interest expense low while maximizing interest income. The books are balanced and clean. I suppose that's all a finance director can hope for. All of this attention to detail culminated in the first AAA rating for a community in Litchfield County. I want to thank the mayor and the council for all the support you have provided me over the years. I hope I lived up to your expectations.
Oh, my goodness, of course
Expenditures on a cash basis are running at 91% of budget. On a straight line basis, they would be expected to be running close to 100%. Revenues on a cash basis are running at 101.2% of budget. Taxes overall are running at 100.6% of budget, with current tax collections at 99.5% of budget. In conclusion, on a cash basis, expenditures are at $110,583,526, and revenues are at $116,182,336 $1,000,000.29, leaving a pre-audit surplus of $5,932,753.03, of which approximately $1.9 million belongs to the Board of Ed, and after carried in force appropriations, approximately $3.4 million belongs to the town. There are approximately 6 more weeks of expenditures that will occur between now and the end of August, when the fiscal year will undergo a hard close. Only audit entries will occur after that date. I bid you all a fond farewell and the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg.
You missed us already, huh?
Thank you, Greg.
There you have it.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could say something?
Chris, absolutely.
I just would like to address Greg. What you set up there was exactly right. The clean audits, which, before you were here, weren't always totally clean. And I remember speaking to some of the auditors, and they talked about how well organized and how we were much cleaner than many other towns that they had done, in large part, to what you've done here, attention to detail. And the AAA rating we got is no small credit to yourself. Certainly the mayor and the councils.
The mayor certainly deserves
And
credit
councils
as well.
right, and I think we've developed great budget process and how we spend surpluses, et cetera, but you've served this town very well. You should be very proud of your work. We're very proud of you. I'm very proud of you, and I enjoyed working with you in the years I've been on council. And I wish you many years of health and happiness in the next phase.
Thank you.
Katie?
Thank you.
Greg, everything Chris said, and everything he said, I would say, and I want to add, though, that you went through Munis, the bad, the worse, occasionally an okay, but it wasn't easy, and you managed to get it done and bring it through, and I don't know how we would have done that without you. And I will miss your honest approach to things. I don't mean honest in the sense of thievery versus that, but you're honest in saying what is happening and being very upfront about it. And that's a pleasure, and it's been good for us to have that, the town and us here. So we're going to miss you. I will miss you terribly, and your bright and sunny disposition.
Sure, it's me you're talking about?
Yeah. See, there you are, you're smiling. But really, thank you for everything you've given and done.
Mary Jane?
So it's hard to walk away from a career. I haven't done it for a long time. I mean, I was in nursing for 50 years. And it's hard to leave.
Yeah.
But it's not going to take you long to make that adjustment, believe me.
Oh, I know, I
And-
was just off for a week, and it's like, I think I can
Yeah,
get used to this.
you'll get used to it really fast, and
I've been plumbing my
you'll
fist
find
for
new things.
35 years, so.
Yeah, you'll find new things to do and enjoy, and a whole new phase of your life. So, thank you for everything you've done, and we'll
I'm
miss
leaving you
you.
in good hands. So, and I'll be available, if need be. I did the right thing, I hope. I would like to think that New Milford's better off for me having been here. And, I guess they say the best reward for a job well done is having done it. So, thank you all for your support, and I'll be reading about you in the paper.
And Greg, as we talked before, on behalf of the town, can't thank you enough for all of your years here.
Yeah.
You know, some were very, very, very stressful. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the fruit of your work bears in how we are, how our finances are, how we're looked upon in the investment community. Stellar.
Sure.
So,
And we made a
amazing
good
work.
team, Mayor.
Absolutely.
We did.
Yes, you did. You did.
Good cop, bad cop, bad cop, bad cop.
Both in jail, both out of jail, yeah.
No, we're a good team. Like I said, the finances are second to none, so
Absolutely.
I leave you with that thought.
Thank you very
and,
much, Greg.
Hopefully, once in a while, you'll think of me and
Oh, yeah,
smile.
we'll think of you.
Absolutely.
Right now, we
Of course.
more time to play chess than we have.
Ah, yeah.
There you go.
Maybe before I leave,
Enjoy it.
I'll take you up on that for sure.
Take your bow.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is discussion and possible action on short-term rental regulations.
Rather than make a motion right this minute, I would just like to make a couple comments based upon tonight being the first time that we really had more than the one observation from a resident. And I feel for the people who have the coming and going. And I am very surprised to hear, because my experience with both Airbnb and Vrbo, just to use those two names, is they do not give you the address of where you're going, which sometimes you think you would like it to see what kind of neighborhood your home is in, and how this gentleman's house became a photograph on the newspaper. I hope he takes it up with the newspaper. That's really not something that should be going on. But hearing some of these comments, I think that because we have some comments, although I'm not sure they fall under the guise of anything that we would do, the town could do. But as Mr. Sinello said, you know, we're trying to find a solution to something that might not be a problem. So I think it's probably a good idea, me personally, that we do have a few people sit and discuss it, the pluses, the minuses. I think that some of the very stringent things that were mentioned about banning and that, I don't think we've really ever discussed something to that degree. I think there are other ways we could help people who have problems, whether they're long-term renters or short-term renters, and perhaps they just don't realize that these avenues exist in our town. You know, if you have noise and if you have a bright light and that kind of thing, of how to go about finding someone to help you, which really wouldn't have anything to do with the short-term rental. But anyway, those are just a few of my thoughts. I think we should discuss it with with a group of hosts and users, if you will, just to see if other things come out, because I can't speak from the host standpoint. I know I'm an excellent renter, but I get the 5 stars, but then not everybody is. I guess that's true. So I just wanted to say, and if I can make the motion, if we feel that that's something that we should do.
Chris?
I guess my thoughts on it is, clearly, I don't think we know enough today to make any decisions on regulation that's for or against anything. I do like the idea of a committee, and as you said, Katie, you know, we had very limited data before. Tonight, we had one meeting, and we had 2 on the plus side and 2 on the
found out a
bad
lot,
side, you know,
yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. So I think and if you read about it, there are towns all over the country that are going through this. So that tells me that there is something there, or if it hasn't hit New Milford yet, it will probably soon. So I think it's good to have a committee just to look into it and come back to the council and see what, if anything, we should do.
And perhaps having that and having people come in, perhaps we could do that again the committee could do it, or the council, or whatever. But I think, as Mr. Munson, he was a little late coming in, and the gentleman who has his picture in the paper, I don't blame him for being upset. But I think there's things that we could hear from others now that we've gotten it. We started small, and here we are. So I think that would be my recommendation as well.
Me personally, I'm sorry, Sal, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mayor, I'll see you.
No, go ahead, Sal.
I just, you were listening to the people today on Airbnb is not just a real estate, it's a business. So people buy it with an extra income. So what happens if 2008 comes? They'll belly out. They walk away from this like there's no tomorrow. It's not their house. So those are the things we have to watch. Do I have a solution for this right now? No. But I think we have to watch this because if 2008 happens,
And what would you say? What did you say, Sal, would happen if we had a big recession?
so
It
what
just
happens
would
is
mean I
you're-
couldn't rent.
So
2008.
if you listen to economists and everything else, right? So people are buying this with the extra income, right? You go to Outer Banks, North Carolina, it's full of those things. Anyway, the recession comes, people walk away from these things.
You're talking about people who buy something
Buy our
specifically?
Airbnb, they buy houses, apartments, and because
Kind of like
of
what
the
happened in 2008.
Yeah, right.
Financial.
so
okay.
then you have, it's a cycle.
I'm not aware that people do, but then like I said, there's things we don't know.
As I said, it's something that people buy for business, not to live. So it's something we have to consider, because if we're gonna get hit by 2008 again,
We're not,
we may have a...
that's not happening.
But in some parts of the country, there are people who have purchased specific things to make the money, so when they retire, they're going to
It's a
live there.
business.
Right, but we don't know how many people are doing that here, which I think is part of another aspect of having people, now that we're talking about it. If that's you at home, come talk to us.
So the gentleman that actually said that we need to have a statistic, that's the right thing to do, right? So how many calls were into those Airbnbs, and did the policeman have to go and intervene, for instance? We don't know those things, but it's a good thing to watch them.
I think so.
Paul?
Up until tonight, we only had one complaint.
Correct.
And tonight was kind of eye-opening for myself, because I think that our public isn't aware of the widespread use of the Airbnbs or the problems that other people are facing. And some of the things that were discussed tonight, we really need to look at.
Can we see?
Well, one thing was the private community, and most private communities don't allow it. You know
Yeah,
that, right?
and when I researched this, I would be, if we were to do anything, I would hesitate, we do anything that overrides what
Never.
any private community
Oh, never,
says
no.
we could do.
We shouldn't have anything to do with private communities.
I agree.
However, that would be,
With HOA.
again,
Airbnbs are going to
you know,
spread
we've
throughout the community.
heard problems, so if we could have stop actioned in the middle of the comment and addressed a problem, we could have come up with some helpful thoughts for probably almost every incident that came. However, again, I'm going to say, I think people are unaware of a lot of the ways they could solve their problems.
I personally think, I'm sorry, Mary Jane, and then
Yeah.
Alex.
I don't think it's going to be detrimental to anybody to put together an advisory committee.
Yep.
I mean, you can explore all the
Right.
options. It's not something we're hiding from the public.
Nope.
Right.
It's going to be out in the open, and people will still be able to come in and comment, and,
And
we're not
complain.
passing any laws.
That's right. Nothing's lost.
Nothing's changing.
Alex?
Just
So far, I'm good with everything. In addition to, I think what we heard tonight makes me feel like we need to remind each other to be good neighbors, because there's more to it than a short-term residential.
Amen to
course.
that.
There are people who may not be good neighbors, and, that's something we take pride in, I think, in New Milford, and it's a shame, but maybe we all need to be reminded that it's more about taking care of each other and being considerate of the people around us.
And I also think if some of the public participation we got tonight is if there indeed is between 60 and 80 Airbnb businesses, because that's what they are, right? So you have 60 or 80 businesses. Wouldn't we want to have a standard? And what I mean by a standard is, as Mr. Munson talked about tonight, a lot of customers are coming from New York City. Okay. Do those people know how to use a grill? Do they know how to change propane? Do they know where the Danbury or the New Milford Hospital is? Do they know all those things? So to me, if this is going to be a business, why not create the standard and make it the best experience everyone can have? A lot of these businesses are run through an LLC, so you don't know who the owner of the home may be. But if we create a system, as we talked about a few times before, where we have that data, if there is an issue, and the police do have to come down for a breach piece, they could contact a property owner within minutes, rather than having a big, huge thing. So I don't think it's my own self, I don't think it's diminishing Airbnbs or short-term rentals. I just think for the neighbors, the neighborhood, for those that are in the business, I think just creating a safe standard for everyone, the neighbors, the businesses, and those that are renting, can feel confident that there is a standard that at least we have in New Milford for.
In Airbnb, I'll just give you one thing to talk about safety. When you go through all the options that you want to have them bring up for you, one of the things is that a smoke detector and that's one item you can check, or a CO2. So if you check both, you can see as you're going along, they'll give you the number of houses in the place that you said you wanted to go. When you check CO2, it goes from, let's say, 42 houses down to 35. You take that off and you're back up to the other number. You know, it's like having a garage, you know, that you lose a lot of those. And to me, how on earth could you have a place with anybody in it that you didn't have a smoke or a fire detector?
I don't.
Well, that's one of the things, or
Absolutely.
Extinguisher.
Just you mentioned that too, but city people don't know how to take care of a septic system.
That's true. Because they don't have to, yeah, right.
Well, you have to know what you flush. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
That's reality.
Yeah, no, I know, I used to live in New York.
That's reality. But
Cat
I'm
litter.
hoping we can include also Chief Cerruto at some point in this
Absolutely.
conversation so that we get data from him and also his input and suggestions. Because I think that's
100% agree.
I know that
Right.
people have,
Me
it's
too.
come up, we've talked about before, that sometimes they can't do what they wish they could. So maybe that's something that could make a difference for everybody.
Does anybody have anything else on A, which is this discussion? Okay, B. Katie?
I would like to move that we do have a mayoral advisory committee to hear and study some of the, take input and learn more about the good, bad, and the ugly of this, from both sides, as we said before, from the owners, the renters, and the users both.
Second. You're going to put the people on the motion?
I wasn't going to, because
okay.
I'm not sure, this
Okay.
is just proposed.
So we
Did you
have a
want me to put it in there?
So we have a proposed,
I'll amend my motion to include that proposed members of the mayoral advisory would be Katie Francis, Bob Gambino, and Gerald Monahan, who we had heard from.
any discussion?
On the amendment.
On the amendment, right.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, now the next one.
Okay. You want me to just do this again?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to move that we create a mayoral advisory committee to study short-term rental regulation, get public input, and the proposed members so far would be Katie Francis, Bob Gambino, and Gerard, excuse me, Monahan. Gerard, right,
We
sorry.
have a second from Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
That's
Okay.
right, Gerard, I had to say that right.
Next, economic development update. So starting off first, unemployment statistics for the state. First is the state average of unemployment is 2.8%. In New Milford, we are at 2.5%, again below state average. We have 15,242 in our labor force. Employed is 14,861. Unemployed, we don't want to have any, but unemployed currently is at 381 as of the stats, which was June. A couple of items that we're working on and we'll be bringing to the council. We're finalizing our economic development website. It's for the business. As was mentioned before, New Milford Now was our tourism and our community site. We're finalizing a cultural art district. We'll be bringing that back to the town council in August. And as we all know, the arts not only are a great benefit for the community, but also a great economic engine that we can use for sure. And the Economic Development Commission, Jay Umbarger, who was a former president of a bank here in New Milford, sits on the commission. And we are going to be sending the commission letters out to internet banks. So what those are, they're banks that take deposits from our citizens here in New Milford who don't have a brick and mortar address. Per federal statute or rules, there's a thing called CRA, Community Reinvestment Act. And if you're supposed to be taking deposits from people, you're supposed to invest in the community where the deposits are. So we are asking the internet banks that we're going to be sending letters to. We're going to have a virtual meeting. We're also going to ask the FDIC and I believe the state group as well to attend this to see if there's a way that the town of New Milford can get some CRA money from the banks themselves. And that will help them go a long way. So we'll let you know more when we move forward with that as well. I also want to let those that didn't go to the last Rock the Block that was this past Thursday, again, a tremendous success. Thank you to the Bank Street Group. Thank you to the merchants that are on in the downtown. Just a great destination now for residents and those beyond that come in, and that's a great economic driver for that night as well. They fill up our, restaurants, stores that are open. The green is obviously full. Our ice cream stores are packed as well. So a great engine. Also remind everybody that we have is Mr. Munson, who is public participation for our public hearing, public meeting. Talked about our community website for those who may be watching is newmilfordnow.org. That's a great site that you could go on and has all sorts of great information. We have Deborah Rose does the community article pieces, and that leads into our ice cream crawl. Second year of the ice cream crawl. First one was super successful, and that runs until August 25th. And there's 8 locations: Tasty Waves, Grassroots, Villa Maria, All Aboard, Dairy Queen. They'll be opening up soon. Sonic and Carvel. If you visit 5 of the 8 locations and proof of those, you get a cool looking second year t-shirt, which is great. Had great success with that. Also want to let the public know again that through the American Relief Funding, we have what's called a CHIP loan. And that's for those that couldn't afford a home improvement, whether it's a roof that's needed, whether you have a water heater that is blown, electric that went out due to something happening in the home. This particular thing that's been very well used by some of our citizenry, our social services takes a look, make sure that you income qualify for that. It's a 0% loan, and you keep that loan until you either refinance or sell your home. And then we plow that back into the pot and then continue to reinvest in the community. And why that's really important, we talked about that when we were doing the ARP funding, is this stabilizes the neighborhood. So rather than having someone that can't afford to say have their roof fixed and the roof begins to collapse and have issues, everyone's property values in the neighborhood also falls because of that. And if the neighbor's looking to refinance or sell. This way, if they have that, the neighbors would stay strong, competitive, and everyone's in the neighborhood, their property values are stable. So if there's somebody that's watching tonight, or you know someone that's having a hardship, needs some kind of home improvement that needs to get done, it's not like you're renovating your kitchen, but if you need something, please contact our office, mayor's office, and we can get you the application out for you to take a look and take advantage of that.
What is this called?
It's called the CHIP loan.
CHIP loan?
Yes.
What does CHIP stand
I knew you were going to ask me that. Community Housing Investment Program.
Does it cover anything in regards to their water? If their water is potentially contaminated, would they be able to get any money towards testing?
If in fact, say they need a Culligan thing for a better example, right?
A what?
Water softener or something like that. They could apply for that as an improvement on
What about a
property.
filter for
That's
PFAS? Is that a possibility?
I can check and find out.
Okay, could you get back to me on that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Good.
Staying on the business, the Connecticut Small Business Development Center, that's the SBDC. They run a lot of programs, virtual based as well, that help our homeowners, our businesses. And for an example, they have a live webinar on July 22nd where you can learn about business development.
today.
Women-owned business. It's also the 31st. Veterans contracting assistance programs that they have. Also, if you're not a client of theirs, you can become one. You can get mentorship programs, the same as SCORE. They can help you with mentors programs. You also have a opportunity virtually too. They have a webinar on no-cost advertising for your business, how you can go ahead and you can do that. We also have the Women's Business Development Council and all the great things that they do as well. And they have understanding beneficial ownership information and how to report that. They have virtual meetings. You can go on their website and check those. Some of them are town specific, but they have an introduction into the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund, which if you have a very small business, it's a great thing. It's a virtual one, and that's going to be next Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. They also learn about QuickBooks for those that need that in their business. They have tutorials on that. They're in their third part of their series. They just have lots of great information. You can check that out on their website.
Is that all of these on the town website?
Yep, absolutely.
And what?
You can go on to the town website, www.milford.org. You can click a business, and when you click business, it links you to all those wonderful things. Plus a lot more stuff too. For instance, our facade improvement program the town has as well, our incentive programs and whatnot there as well.
Good.
And then lastly, just an update to the council, and I'll have Jack Healy come at the next meeting as well, is the DPW proposed move from where it is currently to Century Brass. So for those that are watching the council tonight, right now there's conjecture that it's already a done deal. It's not, because it has to be funded. And how it's funded is by the taxpayer. The taxpayer has to approve that. These are just all fundamental plans with anything that you'd have to do prior to a move. And just so everyone remembers, it wasn't out of the bright thin air a few years ago that we said, well, we're just going to go ahead and move this. This has been ongoing since the Mayor Murphy administration, where they changed the zoning from industrial to also have what they call an overlay to a governmental zone that allows for these uses to happen. Also, I'd like to point out another thing as we talk about the water. Look, everyone here is all about water safety. Absolutely, we're all about water safety. I do pose this to the council as I did at the last meeting. There is ways that you can protect the environment and still grow. There's ways you can protect the environment and still have a public works facility. And I'll give you an example. The Connecticut Department of Transportation garage. It's right on Route 7. Brand new. Just built it. That's on the aquifer.
Yeah.
It's on the aquifer. It's more on the aquifer than the one there than the one at Century Brass. But it's how you build it. It's how you do those things. It's how you make it safe. And if it wasn't safe, I can guarantee you, Jack Healy wouldn't be wanting to do it.
No.
I mean, I can tell you that 100%. He wouldn't sign off on that. And it does have to go through, as Ms. Ram had talked about before, it has to go through thorough regulation, has to go through the EPA, has to go through DEEP, and it has to go through our bodies as well. But to me, the question that I pose to everyone as we're having this discussion, right? Would you rather move it to a state-of-the-art facility that's much needed for so many ways, for the equipment that's sitting outside right now that the taxpayers spend millions of dollars on? Would you like to put it in a great place that captures, right, that captures issues, that captures our Schultz shed to make it the best of where it can be? It captures all that with the new state-of-the-art stuff. Or do we want to keep DPW facility in a 1940s building that's cramped? The stuff sits outside. And then as everybody talks about, well, some people talk about, well, let's not put it Century Brass, let's put it somewhere else.
Where?
So my question I pose is, do you want to put it somewhere else that's pristine already? Or do you want to put it on a brownfield site that's already being cleaned up and that we can use the new technologies that wonderful humankind has produced to make this the safest DPW plant that we can possibly have? But I really think we all need to talk about it and all do it in a very positive way, whether you're for it or against it, right? But I think we should have a very good open dialogue about where we want to take the town in the future. But everybody knowing, coming from the places, we all want to have clean water. We all know that's how you sustain your life and you live. I mean, that's why we have that thing over there, Sustainable Connecticut. We were one of the first towns to get it, and then the first towns to get silver, and continue on. I know, Mayor Gambino, you've been for years Houstonic River.
Right.
Right? So
That's what I wanted to clarify. I'm glad you went as far as you've done, especially with the start on the DPW. But are we dismissing the potential of our aquifer being potentially degraded because of that stuff coming out of the landfill up there in Boardman going right down the aquifer? I'd like you to consider that very seriously, because if we get any pollution in that aquifer, that's a right.
So Mayor, as we talked about before, I think that's a great opportunity for our federal delegation, because that is really, the EPA really rules this, right? More than anybody else. So getting Senator Blumenthal involved, Senator Murphy, Congresswoman Hayes, getting them involved, because that's really where this germinates from. They're the ones that can make the change.
Right.
How can they help us?
But will you contact them?
Absolutely.
Or do we have to do it?
Absolutely.
Please.
I've contacted Senator Murphy's office concerning when we were talking about getting funding for those that want to get filters for their water, for their private homes. You know, and they're waiting for the investment dollars to come down. Absolutely. But I think it really starts from federal, because they're the watchdog. They're the ones that provide the guidance and the rules when it comes to that, as Randy was talking about tonight.
We gotta let the dogs out then.
Well, the money's up here, then the money comes down to here, so at some point, but they have more pull, don't you think, to go higher than us?
Well, and according to Randy, we don't have standing.
We have no
Right.
standing.
That's right. We don't
So,
count.
just a question, if the landfill, the contaminated landfill on Route 7 is leaching into our wetlands, what do we do about that?
Which wetlands are you talking about?
There's wetlands surrounding that landfill, apparently.
Oh, you mean the 95
You
foot?
mean the land that's in the lawsuit, the litigation?
The landfill up on Route 7 by Boardman.
Okay, so that's in the middle of a lawsuit, and there's not much that, I mean,
So,
I mean, good question. Let's pose it to Randy.
yeah, ask him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was
I
kind
mean,
of hoping he'd be here.
that's a big concern. I mean, and that's definitely a town
Well,
concern.
Where the
It's
town
good.
has no
We
standing
have
at
to
all.
talk about this
I think we
because
do, if it's going
it's
into
the
your
future of our
Well,
community.
I think, is that part of what
Mayor,
they're saying
absolutely.
in the lawsuit? I don't know, I've
Worries
never
me.
read it, so I don't know.
You should read it.
And I think, you know,
And you should
Randy
be
will be
concerned about
here again. Unfortunately, as you heard, he had a family emergency really to take care of.
Right.
But he'll be back to the next one, and we can discuss more. I mean, as far as, you know, when it comes to litigation, our standing in things, and how we, you know, because the whole goal is to you know, make sure our water is safe and make sure our environment is, you know, pristine and where we want it to be as best as we can have it, right? And you know, continue, in my opinion, to alert our federal elected officials, as they have the most power. But if somebody's saying that there are wetlands that are being impacted, you know, we can talk to Randy, talk to Jim Furlow, and find out about those,
Right.
if that is indeed something that the town would be looking at. I don't know.
We don't have any,
That we
as
could find
Randy
out.
said, town has no standing at all involved in that. However, it doesn't preclude us seeing something and finding out if indeed it is affecting. In other words, we couldn't have anything to do with that. We don't have any part or standing there. But again, it'd be like saying, I don't have any part in your house if a tree falls through the roof, but I certainly could come over and say, do you want me to help you fix that? You know, I mean, I don't think it has it isn't exclusion of that. We could find out. So, just have to find out.
Can I move to
Mayor?
adjourn?
Wait,
Absolutely.
yes, before you do that, just one more on economic development. Oh, you're quick. Economic development. I asked once before about the electric vehicles charging station. Is there any way to put one in there that charges people for the
Yeah,
electricity?
we
Is that
actually are working now with 2 companies.
Okay.
Then it will go out to bid to actually put 6 charging stations in Patriots Way, and then redo that charging station right here on the green.
Yeah,
So
more than
that's-
one person has said to me,
Absolutely.
what? You know, I come to town for this event and I can't get.
But they're also down on Route 7, right?
There's a
Yeah,
few
but-
charging
But
stations.
they've
you're
got
in town at
tons.
an event and you can't, your car is.
Oh, I see
down
what you're saying, the
inside.
one in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're actually working on that right now.
That's great, thank you.
There's one thing you were talking about, just want to go back to you talking about the economic development and things that are happening in town. You know, our Housatonic River Brewery has now finally gotten through and has a kitchen, and they have a liquor license. I saw a picture of Dave Littlefield making a drink. It's something he's been trying to get finished for quite some time. It's a very popular
Good
place.
destination point out with all the music that he
It
has.
certainly is, all the music and everything, so I just thought I might say for the 2
And
people who don't know.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and go for Carnival's back.
Yes.
After many, many decades, they're
It's at
back.
Pettibone.
Pettibone, so.
You remember
Okay.
the carnival.
I move that we adjourn, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
Second.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Any
we should go to the
discussion?
carnival.
All those in favor?